Hello everyone, Prime here, and I hope you've had a great day. Today we're going to be going over pretty much everything you need to know about voodoo mythology and the Pantheon before it comes into Smite. Now, the origins of voodoo mythology are pretty ambiguous, and you'll find a lot of places online telling you different things, but the story we're going to go with has it start in Egypt, and the slaves of pharaohs and kings were at some point freed from their labors. These people were referred to as the Yoruba. They eventually traveled from Egypt to what is now considered today to be Nigeria, and these Yoruba people met with the knock of what was Nigeria and started to begin what we now know as voodooism. The king at the time enjoyed this idea a lot, and he spread this new mythology, voodooism, across all of the territories that he owned. Now, eventually, voodooism spreads far wider across the world thanks to a bit of a darker time where people are abducted from their homes and taken to work forcibly in other places of the world. But thanks to this, the practice of voodooism was taken up in areas of America, and there's also variations of it in areas of the world such as Brazil and the Caribbean islands. And all of these different places have different variations of the voodoo mythology, but a lot of the core ideas and concepts are usually the same. Though you're probably aware of things like voodoo dolls and voodoo being used to curse people and it being a dangerous art and all of that stuff. That's not actually what voodoo is all about. It's not just this maleficent thing that's used to endanger people's lives or hurt people, necessarily. There are elements of that, apparently, but Hollywood over-dramatized this and just blew that part of it way out of proportion. So the voodoo mythology itself centers around the worship of Loa, who are gods or spirits or otherworldly beings who reside over certain facets of life, from fertility to volcanoes. If the people needed something specific, they would ask the Loa for it. They would also have to respect the Loa by offering them, offerings similar to Greek mythology and how they respected their gods. However, the Loa could also communicate to the people by possessing individuals. And this wasn't always necessarily a good thing, because people may also have been possessed, and there are people in today's world who supposedly get possessed to relay messages to the gods, or because of someone's forsaking of these Loa or gods. Let's just call them gods. I feel more comfortable calling them gods. Now, in voodooism, there is an underworld, but there's no hell or heaven. When people die, they have an opportunity to become a spirit like a Loa, or they will be reincarnated as a human being in an attempt to sort of right the wrongs of their previous life. If these people commit certain crimes or go against the laws of the mythology during their lifetime, or just generally act as bad people as far as the mythology is considered, they may suffer misfortune, illness, or even be reincarnated as an animal in their next life. For very, very deep and major offenses, a person may even return as a Diab, who was a demonic creature who seeks only to cause pain, misery, and disturbances. Now, Loa and Diab are omnipresent beings. I like to think of them as a little angel and devil that you might see in, like, certain TV shows, movies, things like that, on people's shoulders, sort of thing. So there's that. So that's how the mythology works, but of course we're here to learn about the potential new gods that we can get in-game. And there are quite a few for high-res to choose from, naturally. They are split across the different versions of voodooism. I'm not really going to mention which specific version each of these gods are from. They do have different names in some, and others might not necessarily exist in other versions, a bit like how Janus works in Greek mythology, for example. He's not a god in Greek mythology, but he is a Roman god. So there could be deals like that, or there could be deals where, like, you have Pluto being Hades, but him not being called Hades in Roman mythology, him being called Pluto. So, deals like that. But the first god we're going to be talking about is Baron Samedi, or Baron Saturday, He wears a top hat, cane, skeleton body, smokes a cigar, and might even be seen with rum in his hands. His purpose is to wait by the crossroads between life and death and greet new spirits and dig their graves for them. As the god of death, he can allow humans to pass and enter into the underworld. However, he can also cure illnesses, as if he doesn't accept a spirit into the underworld, then their illness that may have caused a potential death might be healed. He's considered to be the head of the Jihedi lower family, and these are a family made up of different gods of death. His wife is the powerful Maman Brigiti, and he also has helpful colleagues such as Baron Cemetery, who resides over cemeteries, and Baron Lacronix, who helps Samedi specifically at the crossroads, and may actually be Gehidi himself, being god of death, which can be a bit confusing. Just consider them all to be like different versions of gods of death. So there you go. If Baron Samedi is put into the game, I suppose he'd be more of a, probably following the same archetype as Apollo, you know, the sort of ladies' man style thing, because that is literally his thing, so you might cringe a lot at that, so fair warnings about that. And next god we're going to be talking about is Bondi. Now, the lower might not have necessarily been called or referred to as god, or rather as gods, but Bondi himself was an actual supreme deity. He was considered an actual god. It's sort of like Christianity in that sort of way, in which you have, you know, that one all-powerful being sort of thing going on. As such, he doesn't appear all that much, but it is known that he is the ultimate sort of power. So there's that. I just felt like mentioning him. I don't think the high-res would actually put him into the game, though. For similar reasons to why they probably wouldn't put the current Christian god into the game. Instead, they might make a sort of parody video like they did with the Christian god. But yeah. Next up, we have Agwe, or Xango. He was a god of volcanoes, rivers, deserts, and the wilderness, invoked to help people pass through mental and physical trials. He is a navigator and knows safe passages across rivers and other treacherous pieces of land. He had a son, Xango, who he never raised, and eventually he loses his throne because he was a king among gods to this Xango because of a drunken fit he got into. He did some crazy things, apparently. I don't know too much more about that, but if I ever do a video on Xango, I'll be sure to tell you all about that, hopefully, if I can find some more information about it. But there you go, that's the god of volcanoes. Considering the type of game Smite is, battleground of the god, I'd expect a god like Xango to make it into Smite. And the last god we're going to be talking about is Eshu. He lives at the crossroads of fortune, and he can offer guidance to people who are struggling with a difficult decision in their lives. Now, whilst he is known to help people, and he is actually a favourite among the people, he's also known to be a bit of a trickster, bit of a chaos or havoc causer, and might cause a bit of issues with some of the information that he relays to and from the gods. But he does relay this information very quickly. He's also known as Legba, and he can take the appearance of either a wise man, when he's known as Legba, or a young child. Of course, the different names, of course, as I said, come from the different places in the world that voodooism is followed in, so, of course, this god changes with that as well. But with that said, that is the video on voodooism. I hope that you did enjoy it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like, and if you are new to the channel, of course, as always, subscribe for more content just like this. I could have spoken about a lot more concepts from voodooism, but there is so much conflicting information about it, and it can be a bit confusing to wrap your head around a bit. My next video on it might take a while, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do another one on it for a while. So just be aware of that before you make too many heavy requests for it. But until the next video, have a very good day. I have been Prime, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.